So thank you for being here. We're today going to talk about Intro to Web Design, combining HTML and CSS. So class 2. And as you know, my name is Isabel, and really appreciate for all you to be here today. So as usual, please use the Zoom chat or Slack. If you're going to, please use the channel, the Tuesday 2021 channel, so I can see, that's where I can see right away your input, your questions, your feedback, and I can pay attention right away. So any questions so far? No? Okay. So we have the handout, and you can follow it while we're doing the class, or you can save for later. What we're going to need right now is your open processing, and try to go, if possible, to the last sketch that we made last week. So we're going to go to the same sketch that you did last week. So you can go, when you go into open processing, there is a section here that says sketches. Let me make it a little bit bigger. And so if you would like to do that, you can, and just click sketches, and that's going to find the last one that you made, which is last week. If not, if it's just too complicated, you can just click create a sketch. That'll work too. Okay. So I have my sketch from last week. So I'm just going to click here. And mine looks a little bit different than yours because I added the code beforehand. But so just ignore the color. Yours should be without color, the same text, but let me take out what I did so it looks the same than yours. So I'm going to take this out. So this is the way it should look for you. It should have, my cat is very grumpy, and then hello world, my first line. Let me get my index HTML here. You're going to have, if you were able to upload the picture of the cat, you'll have the cat, and then you'll have the canvas for the p5.js. So everybody has that or something similar? So I just need a confirmation that you all have, you were able to either get a new sketch or you were able to get into your old sketch that you did last week. Okay, so I have one confirmation. I just need one more person. Where do I find the sketch? So if you made a sketch last week, you're gonna go to your open processing and make sure you go into the account. So like mine is defaults into a sketch. So when you open processing, you're gonna have something similar to this. And you wanna find where it says 20 sketches right here. And if you don't find it, just click create sketch. Okay, there'll be. So when you click here in sketches, find your last sketch. If you save it, if you did not save it last week, it's not gonna be there. So if you don't find anything, you don't have any saved sketch, your best course of action will be to just create a brand new sketch, which is fine. I'm gonna give you the code to put it in there. Okay, all good. So you know, we're every day we increase the level of skills a little bit more. So that's why I want you to go slow, because we're gonna keep making that dial go up a little bit. And this is a new concept for most of you. So just make sure you have a sketch, either the old one. If you didn't save it, just create a new sketch. Well, there should be save here under sketches. I don't know how to rename it. You can look at it later. But the main thing right now is that you have a sketch. And if you don't find it, that's fine. I just want you to have one sketch open. So for example, I have here my web example that I did that way. And to save it, I don't know how you change the name. I haven't looked into that to change the name. I'm sure there is a way to do it. So we'll might come across that situation. So when you create, if you are creating a sketch from the first time, make sure, I'm gonna create a sketch. So I'm gonna go through this again. So create a sketch. Then make sure you are on the HTML. So you click on HTML. And when you click on HTML, you're gonna get 3 different files. So make sure you create HTML, because it's gonna default a p5.js. I don't know if you remember from last time, my last class. So make sure you click HTML CSS. Once you do that, you're gonna see 3 different files showing up. You're gonna have here on the left, my sketch, style CSS, and index. So I'm gonna repeat it again, because I know many of you are looking at me and looking at the open processing. So you're maybe looking at 2 different devices or 2 different screens. So I'm gonna repeat it again. So when you open a brand new sketch, you're gonna click on HTML and CSS. And then it's gonna show up 3 new files. So make sure you are on the index HTML file. So everybody's okay now, or most of you are okay? I want you to make sure you have my sketch.js file, a style CSS file, and an index HTML file. This is very important. You will need that to do today's class. So how's it going? Everybody has that? Or everybody's lost? Okay, I got one confirmation. Okay, somebody else, please. Will feel better if I have at least one more person telling me that they're not lost. Okay, cool. Cool, thank you. So the other thing, remember, you want your output at this on the right side of your code. Make sure you go to editor right here and click the second square. So again, go to editor. If you were on Sketch, go here where it says editor. And then you click on the second square, and that's gonna make the output show on the right of your screen and the code on the left. And then we close the window. Okay, so I'm going to give you the code. If you are creating a new sketch, I'm going to give you the code that we made for HTML. I'm going to put it in the Zoom chat. So if you create a new one, make sure you put the same code. Don't worry about the picture today. Don't worry about the picture. You can look at the recording and see how we did the picture. And I'm going to put it on Slack. Just in case if you have created a brand new has to create a brand new file because maybe you didn't find it or you didn't you forgot to save it. So take that code that I just put there and you make sure you paste it on the index. So for example, you're gonna select all this and you're gonna delete it, erase it, and put the new code I gave you. So the new code I gave me, I just gonna do, I'm gonna paste it, and that's the new code. So make sure you do that. And let me know when you have that resolved. I put the link, I put on a Slack, you can find the HTML code, but I didn't send a link. There was a question on the Zoom chat about a link. I think they mean the code, the HTML code. So the HTML code is right here on the Tuesday class, and you can take that and copy the whole thing and copy and or Control C and then Control V as Victor and save it and paste it into your whatever you use to copy and paste and put it on the code editor. Okay, so everybody should have, this is what is important. And while you're doing that, I'm just gonna explain what's going on. But somebody said the link for Slack. Oh, okay, sorry. Somebody, I didn't read it the right way. The link for Slack, yeah, when I'm gonna send it to you right now, 1 second. Okay, here it goes. That's the link for Slack. Okay, so I just gonna talk to you what we need to have in this HTML code. And that's why I'm so insistent about it. You're gonna have your the head, all this head is very important to have it. And we're gonna talk about that. You're gonna have a body. In the body, you're gonna have a section either with P. I think I changed it. Some of you for last week we did P or whatever you have. If you have H1, I want you to have either P or H1 as the tags. So it doesn't matter the order. You should have at least one element with P and at least one element with H1, like I have here. You can choose either one. It doesn't matter. The most important thing is you have an element, a tag, an H1 tag, like this one, and a paragraph tag, a P tag. And that you have all this metadata. Okay, so are we in the same page or close to the same page or somewhere around the same page? Yes, I got a yes. Let's see if I get another yes. Or maybe I get a no. Or no, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, I got another yes. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on here. So this is what we did last week. So last week we started with HTML. HTML is the layout language for a website. So what we did, we learned about tags. So this is a tag, a head tag, an HTML tag. So we start each document with this tag, and then we have an HTML tag that opens and then closes. So, and then we have heading 1, which is H1 tags and P tags. So that gives us on the output, when you do the output, and remember to save, keep saving, and then run it. You're going to have different, the text is going to be a different formatting depending if it's H1 or H2 or P. And then remember we did some italic, and we did some, this one is strong, and so we put the strong. So I'm going to move this strong a little closer here. So only certain part of that. So remember we were doing that. Now I think this didn't work as the way I want it. Oh, because I have italic. So I'm gonna delete this italic so it looks better. Still not quite. Oh, because it's in heading. So the heading, so this is something interesting because the heading formatting is already has a bold, a strong, similar to the strong tag. So it overrides. So whoever is outside overrides what is inside. So actually this is redundant because when you put the heading one, it's basically is telling it to have a strong format. So that's why. But if I put here strong tag, and this is regular paragraph, regular formatting, and then first line, close strong. And then I'm going to rerun it. They should be, the first should be in the strong, which is the bold formatting. So that's what you can do in HTML more or less. So now we're going to add some style. Style is the colors. If we want tables, if we want, there are different things that you can add on the style. Mostly are things that we see in websites. For example, if the style here in this simple Google page, it was gonna be add the color to the fonts, the type of fonts, the table, the way it's organized, that's the style. And that's done with CSS. So CSS is very similar to HTML, it's just a kind of different rules. We're gonna talk today about external CSS. So there are different ways to do CSS. You can do CSS combined with HTML. So you can write within, what happened to, I went to the other one. So I can put CSS here in this line. They call it line CSS, or you can use it on the head. You can also use in the head. We're gonna do what we call external CSS, which we're gonna bring a file. We're gonna write a file that's pure CSS, and then we're gonna incorporate it into HTML. And the way we incorporate into HTML is on the head. So if you can see on the head where it says there is a reference to a CSS file. See if anybody can find where the CSS file is referenced. So it's between line 4 and 13. See if you guys can figure it out what I'm talking about. And I just asked this question to see if I'm explaining myself Styles line 11. Yeah, so everybody should look at the line 11. So line 11, you're calling this file that you see here. So it's like a cable. It's like they are attached. So you are attaching this file into this HTML file. So HTML file is basically the outside of the car. If you have a car, if you use the metaphor of a car, you have a car, that's what you see when you see the HTML card. If you open the hood, you're gonna see some other things. And one of the things you're gonna see inside is gonna be the style, the CSS file. So, so everything, because we link it here on line 11, we link it with this line of code, we link the CSS file. Remember, this name can be style, could be anything. You can change the name. It doesn't have to be style. It could be style 1, it could be style. These things get very specific later on. So, and people sell these files, actually. They're graphic designers. This is all they do. They create style CSS files. So you bring it here, and that's how the computer knows what to bring. So let's click, all of us click on the style CSS. And for you, you guys are gonna have code, but I deleted mine, so I'm gonna bring it on. So you should have this. And this line 1, I don't know why open processing has the line 1. You can delete it if you want, you can leave it alone, but in real CSS, when we're writing in a web editor, like a another web editor, it's not gonna show up. So I just gonna delete it because I've never seen it before. So this is CSS. So you see it has color. That's one of the things when we have a CSS editor, you have colors, you have the curly braces, and then you have these English words with the column. And those are selectors. So you select, so remember in the index, you're gonna find body. So what it is, the body is a selector. So you are selecting in CSS the body of the web page, of the tags, and you are changing it. So I'm gonna change the margins and the padding. We're gonna talk about the padding a little bit of the body. So right here. So this body that you see here is not any body, it's not something crazy. I just can write anything I want. No, it's a specific referring to this tag. So so let's change it a little bit. So let's start with the margin. So let's put 20 and then px. And then go ahead and rerun it and see if anything changes. So there is something changed, but you cannot really see it. It's very subtle. If you go to, I have placed a code here. No, I haven't placed the HTML code. So I haven't placed the CSS. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. So I have to find my example. Okay. So let's add this one into, and I'm gonna put it here on Slack. And on the Zoom chat. Or you can just write it as you see on the screen. So I'm gonna put this inside the body. So you're gonna have margin 20 px, which are pixels, 10 px pixels, and the background of the body is gonna be red. So go ahead and run it and see what happens. So you're gonna put what I gave you, those elements I gave you, you're gonna put it inside the body. So these are properties. So if I can explain here what it means. So the background, what is before the column is the background, is a property. So the margin is a property, and then we put a value to the margin. The padding is a property, and then we anything on the right is the value we give to the padding. The background is a property, and we add we add a value to the background. And then this is a selector of the element. So element is the body, and we're gonna modify the element body with these properties. So anybody got anything when you run it? I haven't run mine, so anybody? Yeah, so I got a confirmation of somebody, thank you. Anybody else? You can put it in Slack, or you can put it in Zoom. Cool. Yeah, awesome. So I'm gonna show it. So if you haven't had time to do it, I'm just gonna show it here. And you see the whole background, because the body, yeah, it turned, yeah, I'm glad it worked out. Yeah. So it turned the body, now you can see what is the body. The body is all this area. And you see, you scroll down, you're gonna see all the way to the bottom. That's red. So you change the margin of the body, you change the padding, and we're gonna talk about padding, and the background. So the whole body is the background. So now we're gonna do something interesting, and then we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna have a heading 1. So you're gonna put now an H1. If you don't have H1, whatever you have on your HTML, that's why I said, make sure, and I'm in the wrong one, sorry. I'm gonna have to close this one because it's messing me up. So whatever you have on your HTML, make sure you have to match it. So if you have H1, you're good. You're gonna put here H1. That's why I said make sure you have at least H1. If you don't have H1, make sure and you have H2 or H3, change this to H2 or H3. So this has to match a tag in your HTML. So it's like you're wiring things, you're connecting things to one another. So this H1 connects to this H1. So let me put the code everywhere. And I'm gonna put it on Zoom so you all can have it. And then you're gonna tell me what changed. Yeah, we got somebody. It worked. It worked. Yeah. So you're gonna start. I hope you can see the theme. So anybody else got anything? So I'm gonna run mine. Yeah, so that's awesome. So I'm gonna run mine. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. Sorry, I have so many open. So I'm gonna rerun mine. So I have H1. So the H1 changes. So the body stays now red. We didn't change the body. But then the H1, the element, now you can see why we call them element. The element H1 now has a different formatting in the body. So, and there is something called padding. So the padding is that you see, I'm going to show you a diagram here. What's the difference between padding and margin? So the margin is if you have an element, there's going to be, usually we put the margin in the background, but because it's the margin of the page, but you can put it in the element too. So you're going to have this is the margin, then you're going to have a border, and this is the padding. So the padding goes in the element. So you can see here, if we change the padding, so all of you increase the padding, and you're going to see what happens. So increase it to 100 or 70 on the H1, only on the H1. So see what happens. So I'm going to change mine to 80. And then I'm going to rerun it and see what happened to the padding. So I don't have margins here. The margin is only in the body because I want to have a margin in the body to center everything. There is no red color. Where is no red color? Where did the red color go? So on the body, we have red color. Oh, there is no red color in H1. Yeah, I got it. It's only yellow because H1 is an element. It's like a little space. It's independent for the body. So you can change the padding. So the padding is going to be the space in the element that surrounds that's inside the element. So you can make it big like I just did, or you can make it small. So I'm going to change it to 20. So this is 20 pixels, which is the space here that wraps the word, or I can change it to 200 and it's much bigger, see? So is like what it wraps the word. It's the space that wraps the word. That's the padding. So I'm going to change it now to 20. And let's try the paragraph. So I'm going to give you the code for the paragraph. So it's just P. And do the same thing. And I mean, are you guys having fun? I think this is the funnest part of this whole design. I think this is so much fun to be able to modify the colors. So now I added I am modifying the paragraph element. And I have a background blue and a padding of 50. Everybody got that? Yeah, the font is the same. The font is the same because we haven't changed the font. So that's a good observation. The font family is the same. It's Apple Chancery and it's cursive. The only thing different is the color and the background and the padding. So everybody got the paragraph? The PC doesn't show this font. Okay, if not, we're gonna play with fonts. Yeah, that's an interesting observation. I'm glad you brought it up. Every browser has this Zoom died. What's Zoom? For everybody? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I'm just checking because it happened before. So what I was saying was that these fonts that I have here are saved into the browser. They live in this browser. I'm using Chrome. You can be using something different. They live in the browser. If sometimes those fonts don't live in another browsers, they are not part, you're using something else, they don't live in that browser. So when you you put a font that your browser doesn't have, it's gonna give you something else. And that's fine. That's fine. And you can you know, while you after this class, you can go and kind of try different fonts and see which one. You can upload fonts too, but that's a whole other story, and that's more involved that this class is gonna go into. But yeah, like if you see Google, you go into this font doesn't live in this browser. They have a copyright on that font that they upload. Okay, so we just do what we can with what we have, and it's free. And what is free. So here, the moral of the story here was that, oh, well, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're back. And everything is recorded, so whatever you missed, you can catch it on the recording. So I'm gonna put the whole CSS code on Slack, so the people that were messed up by the storm. Yeah, and always is like that. So if you are returning from Zoom, you lost Zoom, just make sure you have this code into the CSS file. So the moral of the story I was showing you is that this is the way padding does. So the padding, even though everything is paragraph, is gonna take each element that has a P as its own element. So you can see here, my third line, it has its own padding. They're all independent. So it's assigned, it modifies each tag, each tag, each tag. Okay. So if you want to have everything, all of this just have in one consolidated, you need to remove this and make it into only one element. So I just can do this. So I'm gonna have an opening P and I close on one P. So I'm gonna run it. And now you see everything is together. But then if you don't like that, then you can put it the way it was before, which is with its own element. Okay, so let's talk about, so the idea I was going to show you is how CSS links into HTML. And I hope you're getting the theme, the idea. You put body here, you open curly braces, you add, you can find this on the reference for CSS. There is a whole list, and you look at the handout and you're gonna find all the reference for CSS. If not, you can Google CSS margin or CSS font colors, and it's gonna give you all the properties, and then you can add the property here and then the value. And then you have to choose what tag you're going to modify, what tag you're going to select to modify. So it could be H1, it could be P, it could be something else that you came up with. So let's move on because there is a lot of stuff to go. And let's do add color. So you can see here, if you were with me a couple weeks before, we talked about RGB colors. So there are ways to do colors. RGB is red, white, and blue. I mean, no, red, green, and blue. And you have different values. So for example, I have this extension here. So for example, this color orchid, I can write it orchid on CSS. I'm talking only CSS and HTML. You can do, and this is the same thing than font. Some browsers will recognize that color and some browsers won't, because they're not part of that browser. The browser is not going to know what it is. So you just, if you don't get the color you want, just try some other color similar or another code. So for example, orchid, you can write orchid for this color purple, or the extension, you can just Google eyedropper. I don't know the link. I really don't know the link. Let me see. Eyedropper. Let me put it here. So that's my extension. So you can add the color, but if that color doesn't work, you can find some other code. So you're gonna have, so for example, I click here, it says dark turquoise. I do here, so you see the names. So you can use names, you can use RGB. Let me click here. It stays there. RGB, which is red. The first value is red, the middle value is green, and the last value is blue, and the highest value is 225. So you put a lot of red, middle of green, and a little bit more of blue. So that's the way you do it. And you can use Hexa Code. So Hexa codes are the ones that I just showed you here. You may have seen them when we did the little experiment here. You're going to see the hashtag 3C, that's a Hexa code. And what it tells you here what it means. Or you can just go to one of these links I have here in the handout. You click on it, and these are the, and you can find the colors. You can find colors. So the other thing is, in CSS design, you have to create schemes, similar to like if you ever have to pick up a theme for a party or a theme for a, I don't know if you guys do, graduation party, or you do birthday party, or you ever paint your house, you have to have a palette of colors. The same thing you have to do to design website. You have to have a palette of colors. So there are a lot of websites that will give you palettes. So you're gonna choose, for example, on this one, maybe the lighter one is gonna be the background, and maybe the darkest one is gonna be the font. So that makes the work of designing a website better, because somebody already took the time to color coordinate everything. So that's what I call color schemes. So I have here several websites that you can do that. So you can write the color scheme, and again, you can do RGB, you can do Hexa code, and you can just write it in plain English. Yes, it's recommended to put it like this, which is not alive, is uncommented as a comment, so you remember what colors you use. So let's try to pick up some colors. So I have here a scheme that I already did. So let's try to do that. So for this color, so you can go ahead and change. Let's do, I'm just gonna give you the code and you can change it, and just put it on top of what you just did. So don't even worry, just erase what you just did and put this new one. So let me fix this. Okay, so you can take this code and let's see if it looks better. So you can see here where this doesn't match at all. This red and this green, this yellow and this blue, it doesn't match at all. It's actually alarming. If you see something like that in a website, it's usually something that is like maybe a weather alert, maybe it's some kind of alert, something that makes people, you want people to be wake up, that be very important information. So there is a scheme for websites that they need to alert people, and then there is a scheme for when you want to sell cakes or sell flowers, or maybe for something else for a museum. So if you take, I'm gonna just erase all this and put the new code that I just gave you. And let's see what this scheme is like, if you like it better. And this is a scheme I got from my website. So I just go to different websites and they give you, like, I put them all here, and they're gonna give you example of well-designed website, or what is the new scheme that is trendy, or what is the ideas for making websites more more elegant or more attractive. So anybody chose those colors, and you can choose these colors. You can go to any color palette, and it's gonna be different colors here, and you can choose the colors. You can do this one, or there is Adobe, or and you can do this one, and it's gonna give you the colors. And the more you use this, the more you remember the Hexa codes. And again, if you don't want to do Hexa code, you can do RGBs. So any questions about this? I know I'm going very fast, faster than I want to go. So any questions? So anybody was able to change the colors to, this is more subtle, and it's less in your face kind of design. Anybody try these ones that I just put on the Slack and on this Zoom? Oh, okay, cool. So let's move on and change the font. So you can go here. I'm gonna click in the handout. I put a list of fonts, and these are a list of the most browsers will have. So you just can pick a font that you like. I'm gonna scroll down and pick this one. Well, there is a whole theory about fonts, which ones are the best, which ones are not recommendable. There is a whole literature about it. So just go to the website. I'm gonna put it on Slack and on Zoom. And you can choose a font from there. And I lost it. Okay. You can choose the font, and there is a way to upload fonts, but this will be for another day. and choose a font that you like. I'm going to choose one that I can see the change. So I'm going to choose this one and see if it works. And I'm going to put it here. And then the property for that is font family. So I'm going to put font family column. And I'm going to change only the heading. Only the heading, nothing else. So right now, I only modify the heading. So I just went to this list that I share. No, this one here. And I chose one of these fonts. You can choose any one you want. And I just wrote it. I just wrote font family, which is the property. And then I put here the value. So the value is brush split empty brush script std cursive. You can do whatever you want. Then we can add the size. And remember semicolon. We're gonna add the size. So this is the property for font family. So you can have a type of font for the body and one for H1, one for H2, one for, and so on. I'm going to change the font size. So there are different ways to do the font size. I'm just going to do the values, the font size, which is familiar from the word processor. So I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to change it to 22. This is too small, so let's do 50. So like that. So I'm going to share this with you. This is for H1, but you can use it anywhere. It has to be exactly for H1. You can put it with any other tag. So that's the way you add type of fonts and size. And you can write small. They're different. I put here on the handout different ways to write the size. Then the font style, if you want italic, if you want normal, so you can add that one. Then there is the font weight. So let's do the font weight. And for that, it's I'm just gonna put font weight here. And you're gonna see what it is. Oh, it didn't change it. It's PX. Maybe it's didn't get it. Oh, why is no font weight? Should be higher. So it's not changing for me, but I don't know. Let's try this one. I just wanna make sure you all got it. So I'm just gonna change that to make sure I have it right. 900, so I change it a little bit. You can do, I chose H1. It was my choice because that's what I wrote here. I can change it to P, which is a paragraph. So they have to match the header. So for example, instead of H1, I can change it to P. And then it won't apply to the header. It's going to apply to P, to another tag, because we only have 2 tags in the HTML. We have H1 and P. At least I have. You might have some other ones, but I have H1 and P. So let's change it to P and see what happened. You can watch what happened. So now this is the default that it was given by the body here. And now it changed the formatting, applied the formatting to the paragraph because I put here P. And I can change it back to H1. Too. And I can put another color. I don't know why this weight is not working. 900. So let's put 900. Yeah, I don't know why. Oh, I know why. So this is the font weight is how strong it's gonna be the bold. So if I go here, 9, the color is gonna be maybe less. But the thing is, because I'm on H1, it's kind of overriding it. So let's change it to P. So here, if I put 9 and then I put 100, it's gonna be darker yellow. So it's gonna be like more yellow, more saturation. So that's the saturation of the color. So see, it's getting darker and darker. That's the font weight. So the saturation on the color. And it wasn't working on the heading because the heading has by default a bold, high saturation. So I cannot change the saturation on the heading. I can only change the saturation on the paragraph. So you can try another one's line alignment. So this is very important if you have a title. So for example, for a heading one, so I'm gonna put here H1. I'm sorry if you just wanna watch me now and then try to do it after, I think it'll be better. So I'm gonna now center the title only, and that's why I put H1. Remember, the computer doesn't know which one is the title. The computer only knows there is an H1 and a P tag. So I'm gonna modify now the title. So the title is the heading because it has the heading tag. My cat is very grumpy. That's the title and it's on the H1 tag. So I'm just made it a line, center. So you can do left, you can do right, you can do center. And I have the properties here on the handout. You can resize the image. Some of you were asking me about that. So if you have the cat in your in your file, go ahead and do this. So put that on the CSS file. And if you have any question, just stay after I close the class, just stay and you can ask me any questions if you got lost. So go ahead and we're gonna do another here on the CSS. Just put IMG, and this is only if you have the cat showing. If you don't have the cat showing, it's not gonna work. And we're gonna reduce the size of the cat by 20%. Oh, it's gonna be 20% of the original size. So rerun it and see how small it is. So you do percentage if you don't want distortion of the picture. I can put here 120, which is gonna be much higher, much bigger. So now see, it got bigger. So so that's the way you reduce the cat. This thing, this p5.js canvas, we cannot modify it on the CSS file. We have to modify it next week, and I'll show you how to modify it. But you cannot modify it with CSS. It's like another cable. It's another cable that is not connected to the CSS. So the CSS is connected to the HTML, but the CSS is not connected to the JS file. So The last thing I want to show you is how you find how our web pages display. So all these things here that we have, all these web pages, you can see under the hood. When you see under the hood, it's going to give you some information how websites are created. So I'm going to suggest if you can just watch what I do. So I'm going to take something like this. Just for example, this one. I have Chrome. In Chrome, I'm going to go and click on properties here. And I'm going to get this window. And then I'm going to go where it says more tools all the way to the bottom. And then I'm going to find where it says developer tools. And I'm going to click on developer tools. And there is a new window that is going to show. And I want you to see in that window if you find anything familiar of what we've been talking about. You should see tags, HTML tags. You should see some CSS. So this is like an X-ray of the website, and you can use this to understand how our website is structured. And there is a lot of information here that is given for web developers, for people who are developing websites. So you can see here is the border, and there is a lot of information. So all the stuff you're learning today are fundamentals for the website, and you can see it here. And if you don't have Chrome, I have put in the handout how to find it for other websites. So if you have Internet Explorer, so there is a link here that's going to take you to different browsers so you can find the developer tools. And so it's Google Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge. So it's all in the developer tools in your browser. And you can go on it anytime. And some people do it just to get ideas, to learn. There is a lot of things that you learn here about how websites are structured, how what kind of fonts they're doing, what kind of style they're using, what kind of colors. If you find a color you have a color they like, you can find it here. The fonts, and a lot of these commercial websites, they have their own fonts, which is copyright. So you're not going to find it for free. So any questions so far? So somebody can tell me, please,